Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Uncanny Media, the show. It's me, your good buddy Spider, your best friend, the truth sayer, the one who always gives you the obvious without any fluff or vernacular or whatever vocabulary I'm just randomly throwing in here that doesn't match the monologue at all. Is it a monologue if I'm just. Does a monologue count in a podcast? I doubt it. I think it's just the intro. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just rambling on. I've got a lot to talk about. It's a particular topic. I actually have a particular topic that we're going to get into tonight that I've been spinning around in my brain. I revisit this every so often because it's an interesting philosophical question. And we're going to get to that in a little bit here. But first, how are you? How are you feeling? How are you doing? Are you good? Are you dealing with anything mental health wise? Is it bringing you down? Just take a minute. Just take a minute right here with me. Let's all do this together. We'll just take a minute just to take a deep, long breath. Just let it in. Gather up all that stuff, all the negativity, all the bad things that are just whatever is going wrong in your life, and just breathe it right out. Just blow it out. It's not that simple. I know that's not going to fix all of your problems, but just take a minute, relax. While you're here with me, you've got no problems. While you're here with me, you're safe. You're calm. You're relaxed. We've got nothing to worry about. It's just us for about an hour or so, and there's nothing to worry about. After this, you can go back to whatever you got to get to in the real world. But for right now, it's just the two of us. It's just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Yeah, there we go. We got a song in tonight. See? We had a song. I usually save that for my for my Twitch stuff. I just randomly break out into songs. But you got one. It's just the two of us. And we can make it if we try. We can make it if we try. Anyway, um enough of me embarrassing myself. I'm not embarrassed actually. I'm not. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not like the world's greatest singer, but I can stay on key. I can follow a tune. I'm not awful, you know? I'm not awful. Well, some people think I'm awful, but those people, they don't matter. Those people have to rely on lawyers. I don't. Anyway, um, vague. What's going on in the world? What is going on in the world today? There's a lot of stuff happening. I want to talk I want to talk about art. Not, specifically like let's talk about paintings, let's talk about this. I want to talk in a general sense. And we're going to start with video games. And some of you people might be like, that's not really art to me, but other people, it might be. Video games were ruled by the Supreme Court of the United States as protected speech, as protected freedom of expression, which meant that video games cannot be censored simply because people don't like them or because they have themes that are progressive or transgressive or aggressive. They were labeled just like comic books. Comic books were labeled as protected freedom of expression, like most books, like art most artistic expression of a visual sort, paintings and whatnot. Music was declared protected freedom of expression back in the late 80s, early 90s, after a series of trials about um, about lyrics that certain parents found problematic. And you know what? I understand trying to protect your kids from bad language and stuff that's grown up. I get it because I do that. I don't have my daughter watch a bunch of stuff that's got a bunch of swear words and a bunch of violence, but she's getting older, and as she's getting older, she's getting more mature, and she's better able to understand that, hey, these are words that you shouldn't use in polite company. You shouldn't just belt out a bad word in the middle of a crowded mall just because you think it's funny. If you're among your friends, okay, whatever. People talk. People talk shit is what it is, and that's perfectly applicable to what we're discussing. But some things are best not said during a job interview or during a formal event or whatever. It's not censorship, it's just asking you to be more polite. Nobody's going to stop you from saying it, but it might be kind of uncouth. It might be a bit, there's no reason you got to pepper every word of a graduation speech with the word fuck. You get it? Do you understand where I'm coming from? And I'm a free speech. I'm a First Amendment like absolute person. I think anybody should be able to say whatever they want whenever they want. But at the same time, if you say something that's going to piss somebody off, and if you specifically mean it to piss somebody off, then they're well within their rights to say something back or to just punch you in the face because you deserved it. If you're being a bully or a jerk, you deserved the consequences. It's not to stop you from saying what you wanted to say, but there are consequences to saying what you want to say. Just because you're able to, and just because I think you're free to, and just because I think you're allowed to, doesn't mean I don't think somebody else shouldn't be able to haul off and be like, hey, you know what? That was really insulting. And if you say, so fucking what? Well, then you get slapped in the mouth. You get slapped in the mouth for it. And I, I don't condone violence. I don't condone just people fighting for no particular reason. But if you say something that is really inflammatory, you got to understand some people are going to take that personally. That's all. That's all. Have some consideration. You can say whatever you want. Yeah, you got First Amendment, even though that doesn't dictate between you and a person standing next to you. It only dictates your rights versus the federal government. Make sure you understand that. The First Amendment is to protect your speech against retaliation from the federal government. It's not retaliation against other things. A private company can say, we don't like you said that, so you're fired, or you can't enter our establishment, or whatever. And you can't say, oh, First Amendment, no, because they're not stopping you from saying it. They're just saying you can't say it in here, which is fair. No one is going to stop you from saying what you want to say, but you can't say it in certain buildings because they don't like it. And you may think, oh, that's a violation of my rights, and it's not really. Because if you're out in a public street, you can say whatever you want as loudly as you want for however long as you want. Because it's a public street. But a private building, no. Private business, restaurant, whatever, no. You can't. You can't. It's not protected, and it shouldn't be protected, right? There should be consequences. So, with all that being said, let's talk about art again. Back to, excuse me, got a bit of a cough. back to what we're winding down to. I'm going to actually open the window here because it's a bit stuffy in here. I meant to earlier during the game session and I forgot. Let's get some breeze in here. But art is subjective. Good art is whatever you think is good art. And crap art is whatever you think is crap art. And it doesn't matter what the artist feels about it or whatever your neighbor feels about it. If you think it's crap to you. If you think it's great to you. If your neighbor's like, no, this is crap, where you think it's great, whatever, you disagree. But it is what it is. There's no definitive, this is great art. And the reason I say that is because you can have like Van Gogh and Monet and all these great, what we consider great talented painters, Picasso and all these other people. And somebody can turn up and look at that and be like, it looks like shit. I don't understand. It's garbage. Why is this famous? What does this matter? And their opinion is perfectly valid. You can disagree with it, and I do, because I think Monet and Van Gogh and Picasso are all really good. But that doesn't mean objectively that they are good as far as that goes, because art is not subject to black and white, truth versus untruth. Art is not subject to that because it comes from the mind of the artist and it's whatever the people see that defines it. You can have like there's the banana taped to the wall. Somebody walks into a museum, taped a banana to the wall. Oh my gosh, it's art. It's avant-garde. And then somebody went up and took the banana off and ate it. And they got a hefty fine because it's a crime, because it's desecration of art. Like it was kind of an artistic statement on its own. I- You know, art is what it is, and music is the same way. I can go out all day and say, I don't like Beyonce. I don't like Ariana Grande. I don't like Nicki Minaj. But do you like it? If so, you're going to be like, you're full of shit. I don't care. I like it. And I'm going to be like, whatever. That's cool. You like it. I don't. You know, it doesn't make any difference. Me not liking it is not going to stop album sales. It's not going to stop tracks being streamed online. It's not going to stop the juggernaut of these things. I don't like Taylor Swift. I don't listen to Taylor Swift. I don't have a particularly strong opinion about it. I'm not going to go out and like pick at her concerts and be like, Taylor Swift is the worst. Because I'm not, I don't feel that strongly about it. I just don't like it. And a bunch of people do like it. And that doesn't matter. To me, it's crap. But that's fine because maybe to you, it's the best music out there. Maybe it speaks to your soul. Maybe it helps you feel feelings that you couldn't understand before, and it takes you to a higher place. And that's perfectly valid. You can feel that way, and I can feel like it's crap at the same time. And both of those things can be true, right? Okay? You get what I'm saying here? So now that that's been said, we were talking about video games being a an expression of art. They're protected artistic expression. Okay, so they can't be forcefully censored by the government of the United States. I mean, different governments across the world do different things. If you have a game that you release here in the United States, but you also intend to release it in Saudi Arabia, you have a couple of options. You can keep it as is, in which case they'll probably tell you you can't have it there, or you can censor it for their sensibilities because that's what they want, because they don't want their people to see certain things. I think I understand the need to try to get a game out to a worldwide audience, but you're not helping anybody in a repressed country by watering down the game and removing things because their government says so. That means you're not in it for the artistic expression. It means you're in it for the money, and you want that country to help pay you to bring your game over there. You want access to their market. You want access to their portfolio, so to speak. Okay? Think about that. Really ruminate on that. I would never censor myself. I would never change a bit of content of this show or the lyrics of any of my songs. I would never change any of that for any amount of money from China or from Saudi Arabia. I won't compromise my ideals that way. If they don't like it, then they won't allow it in their country. And that's too bad. Their fans, the people over there that might potentially be fans won't get to hear it. And that's unfortunate. But that's not a problem with me. That's a problem with their government. Okay? I won't censor myself in that fashion. I don't care what kind of modesty laws your country has. I don't care what kind of blasphemy laws your country has. I do not care how you feel about it as a government official in another country. I live here in the United States. I make what I make, and it is what it is. And if you don't like it, then that's not my problem. We keep getting off track because it's a good conversation. It's a good conversation, okay, but we keep getting off track. Video games. We're going to start by talking about, and we've talked about it a couple times already since it released. Let's talk about Halo Campaign Evolved. It's a remake, rebuilt from the ground up, of Combat Evolved, which was the very first game in the Halo franchise by the video game company Bungie. And we have had a lot to say about Bungie the last several weeks. And I've had some, not really revelations, because these were things I guess I knew all along, but I've had some perspective added to all of this. And it contributed to what we're going to be talking about tonight. Let's talk about first. We're going to go over some history again, real quick, in case you don't remember. We've talked about it last couple episodes, so it's probably rehashing by a bunch right now, but let's revisit it. The game company Bungie was responsible for the Halo franchise. They created Halo, Halo 2, Halo 3, and Halo Reach, which was a prequel. Okay? So that's four games to set the universe, to set the pace, all that. And then they moved on to Destiny. And they made Destiny 1, they made Destiny 2, and now their current game is Marathon, which is based off one of their earlier games pre-Halo called Marathon Durandal, which is nothing like what the modern version is. The original was a single player, early puzzly first person shooter kind of thing, like in the realm of Doom and Wolfenstein 3D, that kind of thing. And the new one is a player versus player shooter, squad based tactical thing, whatever. It's not the same. Okay. But throughout Halo's early history, it had issues. I mean, the games are great. I love all the games. But over time, and this became especially evident when Destiny came out, Bungie, the developer of those Halo games, it showed itself to be populated by employees who were immature, who were arrogant, who believed that they could do no wrong, who had strong opinions in weird areas. And it put a lot of things about Halo's history in perspective and about the fan base. The modern fan base for Halo that longs for the glory days of Bungie is full of intolerant, bigoted, kind of just weird people. And I'm a Halo fan. I've loved every game. Okay. I had, Infinite was but and the Halo Wars games were kind of I'm just not as much of a fan of that style of game, but I never really got into the multiplayer much, which was the player versus player combat arena aspect, which became a big part of Halo from 2 on, because there was a lot of disrespect baked into it. Multiplayer had become, by that point, a very disrespectful sort of activity. The last time I used to play multiplayer games in that fashion and enjoy them was back when Unreal Tournament was still a big thing on PC, and that's the early days of the internet. And you didn't have as much with headsets and microphones. You didn't trash talk each other so much. You could type out messages, but it didn't matter because it took so long. And if you spent all the time typing out messages, you usually lost the match because you were too busy typing and not busy enough fighting. But Halo 2 specifically, because that's when the multiplayer really got big, it started a trend in trash talk because you could put on a headset, you could hide behind a game name or what's called a gamer tag, which is your title in the game. It's like a avatar basically. You could hide who you were, you could hide where you were, and you could say whatever you wanted. And so bigoted, racist, truly insulting, awful things were said very often and continued to be said from Halo 2 on to 3. And then as people moved on to 4 and 5 and when the Master Chief Collection came out, they brought they brought that exact same attitude to Destiny, and Bungie as a company encouraged that attitude. They encouraged trash talking. They encouraged disrespectful behavior, despite the fact that they said, "Oh no, everyone should feel welcome, no one should feel bullied and harassed," but they still encouraged the poor behavior because they indulged in it themselves, because they were immature and they were a bunch of kids that never grew up. They're a bunch of 40-something-year-old people who never grew up. And they're making games for a living where they get to shoot each other and laugh about it and throw one-liners and insult each other while they did that. And so the core audience for Halo are these people who refused to grow up, who believe that trash talk is necessary. It's the same as a certain locker room talk quote that some people get upset about. It's the same concept. And these people believe that if they can't say whatever they want to say, then it's a violation of their free speech, and et cetera, et cetera. And they've infected games like Call of Duty got the same way. That's why I don't play Call of Duty much anymore, because the fan base is awful. And it's perpetuated by the company. The company itself, the people who made the game, were fundamentally damaged in some way. Now, I'm not saying they had poor upbringings or they had mental health problems or whatever. I'm just going to say they went into these things with the wrong attitude, and so they're fundamentally broken. But they made a fantastic set of games. The Halo franchise is great. Like I said, I've played every single game and I've enjoyed every single game on some level. The remake, I like it. I like it for what it is. It's a solid remake. And I'm gonna get into something else about that in a minute or two. But I have to ask, was the game successful? Was Halo as a franchise, while Bungie was in charge, was it successful because it was good, or was it good because Bungie was broken? Because now you have a team, you have 343 Industries, which was when Bungie left Microsoft to go work for Activision, for Destiny, and then eventually Sony. Halo is a Microsoft owned franchise. Even though Bungie developed it, Microsoft bought the rights to it. So when Bungie left, they had to leave behind the rights to Halo. And so Microsoft made a new company called 343 Industries, based on 343 Guilty Spark, who was a character in the Halo series. Okay? And now that company was renamed again into Halo Studios because they're specifically meant to make Halo games only. But they're all brand new people. They're not the old core Bungie team. They're not the original. And the assumption is that they're just fresh faced and they've got fresh ideas and they are not broken. They're just who they are. And I thought the new remake of the first Halo game was good. I liked it. Is it as good as the original? I don't know. I don't want to look through it with rose colored nostalgia glasses. But I thought it was decent. I thought it was a good effort. It's made with a different game engine. It's a solid effort. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's not the same because of this and because of that and because of this. It's too bad that Bungie's legacy is being shat on, etc., etc." And again, I have to wonder, are the original games good because they're just better? Or are they good because Bungie was broken and they made better art because of it? And this is a question that's come up many times throughout my lifetime, not necessarily about me specifically. When I make music, just to use a personal example, when I make music, I funnel in feelings I have and things that are going through my mind for a lot of the tracks. Even the albums that are the most story driven, there's a lot in there from my own experiences, from my own. It's like a form of therapy. It's catharsis for me. Certain albums like Aeons, I was therapy because I was going through such a horrible time in my life, in my own brain. I had to get my thoughts out, and there was no other way to do it. I was a broken person, and I made an album that frightens some people, that upsets some people, that confuses some people, but I think it's one of my best albums just because it showcases where I was at the time, everything that I was feeling, and it let me get all those feelings out. I was broken. I was a broken person, and I made what I consider to be one of my best pieces of art. Does that mean other people are going to agree with me on that? I don't know. There are people, like I said, who refuse to listen to that album because after the first couple songs, it's too difficult for them. It's too, and I don't mean to laugh. I don't want to laugh in a way that's like, haha, that's funny. It's ironic in an interesting way. It's they can't listen to it because it hits too hard. It hits too close to home. And I find that fascinating. And when I made the most recent album, when I made Kingmaker, I was in a place where I didn't know if I had anything left to say. My mental health it's great right now. And it was great when making that album. I every previous album before that, I was in some kind of space in my mind. I had things going on. I was not right. I was not I did not have the right feelings. I didn't have my life all together. And that all contributed to those previous albums. But this one I was coming from such a great place. It was hard for me to come up with things that I felt I could connect with, let alone anybody else, as far as lyrical concepts go. But I did hit upon a theme, and that theme worked because it was something that I was working through in my mind, in my social sphere. And so I got my point across. Nobody listened to it, nobody cared. Kingmaker flopped, for anybody who wonders. It didn't sell hardly anything. But most of my albums haven't sold anything. Because again, most of my albums, I in retrospect have been more for me than for anybody else. I've put out 16 collections of music over 27 years. And a few people have said they liked things, and a few people have said that they could improve, and then nobody else said anything else. I've had almost no notice on most of it, but I felt good doing it. It was therapy to me, these albums. They're a form of expression that helps me say things in a way that I can't otherwise. I could. I could just spit this stuff out, but it'd be problematic in a number of ways. For example, again, continuing, Nine Inch Nails. Nine Inch Nails, for a long time, has been basically revolving around one person, Trent Reznor, who's now a multi award winning composer of soundtracks and film scores and things. And he's still doing a Nine Inch Nails album here and there and whatnot, but he's in a good place mentally as far as things go. He has a family, he has a wife, he has kids, he's healthy, he's worked out, he's sober. And the later albums that came out after he was sober are definitely different than what came out before. Are they better? Are they worse? That's again, it's subjective. It depends on how you feel about it. But there's always going to be that core group of people who connect with the older material, and they'll say things like, "It hasn't been the same since Trent got sober. It hasn't been the same since he got off the drugs, since he stopped drinking, since he stopped whatever." And it's fascinating because you have to wonder, is that a valid take, or is that kind of cold-blooded? Like, why would you want the person to stay in a mindset where they were unhealthy, where they were not taking care of themselves, where they were just absolutely at the end of their rope? But the things that they created during those times, when everything was at their worst, were so good and were so much better than things they might be making now. Again, it's subjective, but it makes you wonder. At the time, Trent Reznor was broken. He has an album called Broken. He, up through the Fragile, he was messed up. He's admitted it in interviews. He's talked about it. I'm not throwing shade. I'm not slandering him, and I'm not trying to talk down to him. I commend all of his efforts to become healthy again. He he had dark music that connected with people. And then the music he's made since then has been different. I'm not going to say it's better or worse. I like it, most of it. Some of it's not for me because some of the direction he's gone in, I think he's mellowed out to a certain point where it's kind of like, this is sounding a bit more generic, or it's a bit more stereotypical. It doesn't sound like Nine Inch Nails. It sounds like he's trying to sound like Nine Inch Nails, if that makes sense. And I don't mean that as a criticism and as an insult. He's in a different place in his life, and that's great. That's fantastic. I don't want to demean that. Marilyn Manson. Let's pivot to him because upwards until through Golden Age of Grotesque, I've liked every album. I thought it was all great, fantastic stuff. He makes Eat Me, Drink Me, which was made during a time when he was having relationship problems. Follows that up with The High End of Low, which was a little interesting quality wise. Follows that up with, I think the next one after that was, oh, what was it? What was it? It had Slow Motion and it had Pistol Whip, which was the Pistol Whip is the absolute worst Marilyn Manson song of all time. Pistol Whip sucks. Oh my gosh, it's so cringy lyrical wise, and during that time his voice was kind of falling apart as well. Like because he was under heavy substance abuse. He was drinking really heavily. Um I'm gonna look it up what album that is. I'm gonna look it up. Just look up the Wikipedia because that's easy. Because that's simple. Discography. Born Villain. Born Villain was such a tough album. I don't know. There was a lot of creative decisions that just weren't great. And this is an example of the opposite. He was very broken at this time. He was pretty messed up. And a lot of this album is just not listenable. It's just not good. After that was The Pale Emperor, which was a slight improvement. He was working with a different producer. After that was Heaven Upside Down, which dipped in quality again. It got kind of like, I don't know about all that. Followed by We Are Chaos, which started to improve again. Followed by One turning to Sean Connery over here. One Assassination Under God, Chapter 1, which that was in 24. Chapter 2 comes out in 26, and I'm looking forward to it because Chapter 1, he got sober. At least that's what he said in interviews. He got sober, he got into a stable relationship, and his voice sounds better than it has over the last one, two, three, four, five, 6 albums. His voice sounds great. He's doing good stuff. And the lyrics to some of these songs actually mean something. They matter. Like I said, Pistol Whip from Born Villain. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's the absolute worst song he's ever produced in his life. You cannot budge me from that position. Art is subjective. I know we're talking about that. But for me, oh, absolutely awful. The worst. The absolute worst. But the stuff he's putting out now that he's clean, is some of his best material in years. It's some of his best material in almost a decade, in almost 2 decades, in almost 20 years. Because Eat Me, Drink Me was in 2007, and that was part of the downfall. So, in almost 20 years, This is some of his best material, and he's clean and he's sober. He is not as broken as he was. So that begs the question, is art only as good as the negative space that the artist inhabits? Or is it possible to make great stuff while being perfectly healthy? And I apply it to Halo because Bungie, again, the company was not great. The company was filled with frat boys and filled with people who were just locker room talk, ha 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 ha, jokes about women and jokes about this and incel kind of stuff. It's the kind of stuff I don't even like using that term because it's a loaded term, but there's so many people who are in the Halo fan base now who would be 100% accurately described as incel type people. They have gripes against minorities, they have gripes against women, they have all these gripes, and they see these things reflected in this game. The original cutscene for the opening of the first Halo game, the bridge crew piloting the ship was a bunch of dopey looking, pale skinned guys. And in Halo Combat Evolved, or Combat Campaign Evolved, the new one, the remake, half the bridge crew is dark skinned, or women, or this, or that. It's very diverse. And so people look at that and they're like, oh, well, that's wokeism. Ugh, they replaced this one guy and now it's with a dark skinned female, and it's why are they trying to throw it in my face? I don't see an issue with it. It has no impact on the game itself. It's not some kind of woke agenda. It's a different direction for the art. It's modern. Because guess what? There's a lot of different skin colors. There's a lot of different people of both genders. There's a lot of things going on in the world. So why not inject that into the game? What's the problem? What's the issue? If you take this game as standalone, if you disconnect it from the Bungie produced Halo universe, and you look at it objectively as just this game alone, it's a decent game. It has its problems. It does. Some of the AI dialogue, and I say that just because it's NPC characters, but it could actually be generated by modern like Claude and ChatGPT and stuff. Who knows? There's that's a whole extra thing about the game that people are talking about that I don't know. I don't know. That's unproven. So we don't want to get too deep into it. They got a lot of the original voice actors back, and some of the ways that they did the dialogue was just not. It's not great, and it's not because it wasn't the same, because of course the actors are older. It's the original game came out in like 2000, 2001, and it's 2026, so it's been 20 some years. The actors obviously have aged, but it's not necessarily in the dialogue itself, it's how they delivered it. And the delivery is sometimes offbeat, sometimes irreverent, sometimes not matching the situation, and I don't, and I think that's more of a direction problem. I think that's whoever directed the voice casting than anything, which is a common problem with modern things. George Lucas, I don't think can direct a modern movie. He took a lot of bad vocal takes for the Star Wars prequels. The dialogue sometimes was just, oh my gosh. It felt like he was like, okay, say the line, and they would do the thing, do the scene. Okay, that's great. Well, let's wrap it up. Let's move on to the next scene. And maybe the actor's like, oh, I feel like I could do a little bit better. Let's do another one. And then he was like, no, that's great. It's fantastic. Let's just keep it and move on. I feel like that's how he directed those movies. Um, and it happens a lot with modern games sometimes. In Outriders, which is a great game that I really enjoy, it has some really awful dialogue throughout the entirety of the game. The voice acting is just it's just not good. It's just not good. But it doesn't take away from the game stuff. I enjoy the games. And so if you take Halo Campaign Evolved and you don't compare it to the original, if you take it, let's say this was the first time you had ever played a Halo game, ever. Let's say you didn't know anything else about the universe. You never played 2, 3, 4, whatever. You didn't play Infinite. You didn't play Reach. You didn't play any of the other Halo games or the original. And this is the first time you've played a Halo game. And it came out and you played it standalone. Would it still be a bad game? I don't think it would be. I think you would have fun. I think you would enjoy it. And again, that comes back to the question, was the original Halo better because Bungie were in charge? Or was it better because it was objectively a better game? And I don't think so. And I don't think being broken, being damaged, is a prerequisite for making good art. I think it can help because I feel like from a perspective of an artist myself, negative experiences and negative emotions are great fuel for a good song because you feel strongly about them. You feel like, you know what, this situation sucked. This pissed me off. This made me so sad and depressed, and I just want to tell people about it. And I think you can make some really great music like that. However, you can also make some really bad music about that. Subjectively, of course, because Stained, Aaron Lewis, is still out here complaining and making sad music at his age. And it's not good anymore. It's just, it's not great. My personal opinion. If you like Stained, you like Stained. If you like Aaron Lewis, and he's made some really great things in the past. I have liked a little bit of what he's done. I'm not the world's biggest Aaron Lewis fan. I don't have a poster on my wall, but he's still singing about sad things. And there are plenty of there's modern rappers that all they sing about is depressing stuff. There's modern rappers about or modern country people. Country music has always been kind of sad, kind of dirge like, because that's a hallmark of classic country music. The one that got away, or the woman that broke your heart, and things like that. But modern country takes that to an entirely new level of just whining about it, in my personal opinion. But again, subjective. Art is subjective. You can disagree with me all day long, and that's great. I encourage you. I encourage you to disagree with me if you feel like it. It's perfectly fine. I'm not going to be angry with you about it. Don't come at me and be like, you're a piece of shit because you said this about this. Don't do that because that's not nice because I'm not doing that to you. I'm not going to go out and say, like, if you don't like the new Halo game, then you're a piece of fucking garbage. I'm not going to say that because that's not true. And it's not nice. It's not fair. It's not, you know, let people like what they like. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. Social media has made these things so much worse because anybody can get online with a fake name and a fake profile. And even now, you can use AI profile pictures and you can make an entirely fake AI profile and you can go on and say whatever you want and get away with it because the people trying to keep you from bullying aren't real people. It's all AI now. Like if you say something horrible about something to somebody else, well, the AI is going to examine it and see if it was truly horrible or not. And if it understands, then it will. And if it doesn't, then you're free to go. Cyberbullying is a ridiculously rampant thing on social media right now. It's awful. It's really bad. Like me, I'm dealing with cyberbullying right now, constantly from a particular camp of people over and over and over and over again. And it's enough to just make you want to scream. You just want to shout. And you're like, oh, will you shut up? But they do what they do. And then if you try to mention who they are by name, then, oh, you said something mean about us. That's bullying. And then they'll sick a lawyer on you. They'll sue you. They'll send you a cease and desist. It's a complicated, weird area right now as far as online stuff goes. People are not always nice people. There's a lot of not very nice people in the world. 6, 7 billion people in the world. There's going to be a large, sizable fraction that are just not going to be good people. That's just how it is. That's human nature, unfortunately. So, what do we do about it? What do we do about it? We do our best. We try to treat everyone the same. We try to be better. We try to move on and we try to be better. And that's all you can do. And as far as artistic things go, enjoy what you enjoy. If you like it unapologetically. Never, ever, ever feel bad about enjoying a particular piece of art. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. If you like it, you like it. The only time I've had an issue separating the art from the artist was with the band Lost Prophets. And I think I've told this story before. I'll retell it now real quick. We're at the end here, but I used to really like some songs by Lost Prophets. Like there were some songs that were very, very good. They meant a lot to me at the time, and I loved them. But their lead singer was convicted, along with two other women. He was convicted with two women for doing some very horrible, horrible things to an infant. Not a toddler, not a child, which are still bad enough. I'm not going to excuse it by saying, oh, because they're older, it's better, but to an infant. And you can use your imagination if you want for what I'm talking about, because I'm not going to describe it. I'm not going to get into the details because it hurts. It hurts deep inside to think about it. And he went to prison for it. And he was killed in prison. Now this initially, when he was put in prison, it was several years ago. It's been more than 10 years, maybe 15 years. But just in the last like 5 or 6 years, he was killed in prison. And I don't want to say that that's a fitting fate for someone who does something like that, but you know what? It was what it was. But once I found out what he did, I thought to myself at first, I was like, oh, well, the other guys in the band, like, they put out statements and they were all, none of them were implicated in anything. They were all innocent. They didn't know what he was doing. And I believe that. I believe it. But he was the singer of the band. And so when you play a song, you hear his voice. And I found that once I found that out, if I would go to try to think, oh, I want to hear one of their songs today, I would look at the track in my collection because it was MP3s. I would hover over it and I wouldn't even think about it. I would just not every single time. I have not been able to bring myself to listen to a single song by that band since he did that because I cannot separate his voice and him as a person from that anymore. So that art is no longer feasible for me. I will not listen to a Lost Prophets song voluntarily ever again. I just physically can't. And I'm glad that I had that reaction because it means something. Because sometimes people are so broken that it doesn't matter how much, how good their art is. Sometimes it just means that they're a terrible person. So, to sum it all up, Bungie was never a great company. They made some great games, but they were never a great company. And at this point, I think they've gotten what they deserved for not being a great company. Most of their core people have all been laid off. It's unfortunate. I never wish anybody to be out of a job and to not be able to support their family and whatnot, but they brought it on themselves by having the attitude that they had. Is Halo Campaign Evolved a good game? Yeah, I think it is. Is it good compared to the original? I don't think that's necessary. I'm not looking at it from that perspective. If you were a fan of Halo and you've been playing for a long time, you might not enjoy it as much as you could have because it's basically nostalgia. If you have never been a Halo player and this is the first Halo game you've ever gotten your hands on, I encourage you to give it a try. I think you'll like it. If you're a fan of first person shooters, if you're a fan of sci-fi kind of stuff, by all means, give it a try. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't, but I encourage you to try it. And everybody who's upset at the game because there's more women characters, because there's more dark skinned characters, because there's more whatever, you're a bigot. You're a bigot and you need to grow up and you need to realize that there are more people in the world than pasty skinned fat guys. There are more people in the world than pasty skinned fat guys. I'm a pasty skinned fat guy, and I know there's more than just me out there. Okay? Get over it. Deal with it. Play a different game if you're so mad about it. I'll never play Halo games again. Well, then don't. Who gives a shit? Who cares? Play something else. Don't go online and complain about it for 50,000 friggin' years. Nobody cares. Use your freedom of expression for something different. Play something you do like, because nobody cares. Okay? And that's it. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I don't. It's been a good episode. It's been a lot to talk about. What do you think? What do you think? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Drop it on YouTube, drop it on Spotify, catch me on Facebook. Wherever you see me, say, "Hey, I want to talk to you about that episode." I would love to hear your opinion on it. 100%. But that's all we've got. I'm getting out of here. I've talked enough. It's the most cohesive episode I've ever had because it was all one topic and that was it. Tangents and all, everything related to the one thing. We'll be back to our random nonsense next week, I'm sure. We've got local wildlife doing things around here that you would not believe. Maybe you would believe it because they're a bunch of idiots. Anyway, but that's all. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. We'll be back next week. Have a great night.